Welcome and good morning. Please join in body or spirit raised up to sing Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on those mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the sorry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to those winds upholding me, feel the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Good morning. Welcome to our ship on the Blue Boat Home. And welcome to our Sunday service. Whether you're here with us online, hey Zoom people, whether you're here in person, we are glad you are here. We are stronger in community. The mission of our congregation says we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. We invite you to explore ways that we strive to live out this mission. I'm the Reverend Lucy Bunch, one of the ministers of this congregation, along with the Reverend Dr. Roger Jones. Reverend Roger is preaching today on our stewardship theme, embracing community and shaping the future. If you're with us online, there's a link to the order of service in the chat box. And if you're new with us today, we're so glad you came. We're delighted that you're with us, and we ask you to please fill out a newcomer card at the welcome table or online at the link that's in the chat box, because we'd like a chance to connect with you, and you can receive our weekly message, and we can get to know you. The blue sheet is our weekly calendar and things that are happening in the congregation. It is also online. I want to draw your attention to just a couple of things. The men's group is meeting this Thursday evening at 6:30 in room 12, and I hear good things about what's happening in that group. So if you're interested, join them. And all male-identified persons are welcome. Also Thursday, we're having an artist reception for new art that will be up, and I'm told that it's quite beautiful. You can see on the bulletin board outside of the office, there's a picture of some of the art of the person that we'll be appreciating. So come to the reception Thursday at 6:30. Also today, after the service, if you're new to us, if you've been coming, for a year or so, or if today's your first day, Reverend Roger and I would really love to have a chance to meet you and get to know you a little better. So we're inviting all newcomers to a Meet the Minister event in the FOS room after the service today. probably around noon or so, depending upon what time the service ends. And please come and meet other newcomers and meet us, and we'd be happy that we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and the community and answer any questions you may have. So we look forward to seeing all newcomers in the FOS room after the service. But the big announcement today is that starting today and concluding on April 13th, our stewardship campaign is here to give you a chance to make a financial commitment to the future of UUSS. So pledges constitute 75% of our operating budget, and right now the board is figuring out how much we have to spend next year on a variety of things, so pledging in a timely fashion makes a real difference. Your generous pledges will empower us to further uplift the salaries of our dedicated staff, to welcome a student ministry intern in the coming year, and help us carry the UU message forward. And everyone is invited to make a financial pledge. It's really easy. You can pledge online. If you go right to the front page of the website, there's a little box right there. It'll take you to an easy breezy pledge form. There's tables at the Oh, thank you, Kim, correcting the art exhibit, the art reception. Thank you, Kim. All right, well, let me back up. Pledging. So you can go online, and there's tables back there with friendly stewardship volunteers waiting for you. I see one of them waving and looking very friendly. And there's a rumor that if you fill out a pledge form today, you get a cookie. And there's a rumor that if you promise to fill out a pledge form online, you get a cookie too. So please, 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 this is very important. Now, next Sunday, April 6th, after the service, there's going to be a lunch and a concert with our wonderful treble ensemble, sponsored by the Stewardship Committee. It's free and all are welcome. So please come to that celebration on April 6th. Now, please check your cell phones and make sure that they're turned off so that we can all be present for this service.
Gee, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's great to see all of you here. It's great to be with you. I see some new faces and some very familiar faces. So good morning. Happy Eid al-Fitr. Happy Tchantceva Day. And happy Trans Day of Visibility. And happy Sunday. Today, Rosella will be our chalice lighter in the sanctuary, while some of you on Zoom might light your chalice at home. The flaming chalice represents our Unitarian Universalist religious movement. The ritual of kindling the chalice reflects our connections to congregations across this country and around the world. So please respond with me in this responsive reading with the words in bold, which you will see on the screen. We kindle this flame, the symbol of our shared search for truth and understanding.
In times of celebration, may its brightness reflect our gratitude.
In times of need, let its warmth renew our connections to one another and the spirit of life.
In times of confusion or uncertainty, may its fire bring us courage and commitment.
In times of change, let its light illuminate our values.
May our values call us forward into better days together.
Don't go far, Zella. Other people who are Rosella's size and relative age group, you can now come together and head out to the welcome hall, or if you're someone who is helping and guide our younger people in their worship today, you can make your way out as you lead us in your song. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Next, we light our candle of compassion and resistance. In these times of disruption and anxiety, when cruelty is on display in our country, this flame is a reminder to bear witness to human decency, dignity, and freedom. By this light, let us remember that fear is outrun by hope, and that hatred is no match for the power of love. In the days to come, may this flame light our way forward with courage and with hope. Blessed be. One of the ways that we strengthen and enrich our community is by sharing our joys and sorrows with each other. This morning, I want to share with you good news from Ginny Johnson, that her first cataract surgery was a success and her recovery is going beautifully. Also this morning, we extend our condolences to the family of Patricia Barr Holliday, a UUSS member for 73 years. She turned 100 on January 29th and passed away on February 20th. Patricia was a native of Sacramento, had a BS and an MS in counseling from Sac State, and worked for the state as a disability analyst. She leaves behind 3 siblings, wow, and many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Donations in her honor are invited to the Crocker Art Museum. We send our love and support out to all those in our community who are facing challenges of body or spirit. May our love and our presence help heal them, and may our presence in this world be a source of healing of the greater need. Tomorrow, March 31st, is the Transgender Day of Visibility, a day when we celebrate the joy and resilience of trans and non-binary people everywhere by elevating their voices and experiences from these communities. Here at UUSS on April 13th, we will have a special service launching a new justice program supporting transgender people and their families. So please plan to come and join us. Let's all take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. And one more, letting go of all that stress. And let's settle in for a time of prayer. Our prayer this morning is from the Reverend Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal mystery that holds us close, receive the meditation on our hearts this day. We come together in this quiet moment to unify our hearts towards the clarion call of our time. May justice and equity guide us to a great connection, a greater truth. Help us to know our path and have the courage to take it. To approach dismantling systems of oppression within us in order for us all to be free. To know that what we cherish and tend to tends to our own divine spark. Spirit, let each of us know in our bones that we are worthy of love. We are whole, just as we are. Help us to draw from the greater source of mutual understanding and care. And let us know that love is not scarce. I place my hand over my heart, and I know I can feel the spirit of life within me. I invite you to place your hand over your heart and feel the spirit of life within you. The spirit of life is within us. The spirit of life is here. Give us the strength to know this power of love, this spirit of love and life, and help us to be in service to our community and to our world. Blessed be. Now let's take a moment of silence to reflect on the meditations of our own hearts. And we say amen to the spirit of life as present in that beautiful baby right there.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. Y al corazón, cántale tu compasión. Sopla volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
I'm Andy Kramer. This morning, you're getting a 2-for-1 deal. I'm both your worship associate and I'm the co-chair of the Stewardship Committee. Thank you. The committee started preparing for this year's pledge drive last fall by identifying a theme. This year, our theme, you've heard, is Embracing Community, Shaping the Future. I asked some members, when have you felt embraced by the community at UUSS? I was moved by their responses. Patty Innes said, being part of Soup Sunday has deepened my sense of belonging, reminding me that UUSS is a vibrant, caring community that truly looks out for one another. Susan Jones mentioned all the people that stepped up to tutor Afghan refugees and provide other services. Jim Eastman told about feeling down about the political and social turmoil that was coming, and then his dread melting away as he walked the labyrinth on New Year's morning. I know what many of you were looking for this morning when you came to church or you logged in, community. It's the same thing I was looking for 3 years ago when I first showed up for a Sunday service. I've been a UU for 20 years, but I drifted about during the pandemic, both physically and emotionally. I moved away from my home congregation before the pandemic as I prepared for retirement. Emotionally, the pandemic and its lockdowns shook me, leaving me more isolated than ever, confined by the walls of my home and my computer screen. 3 years ago, sitting in this room for the first time, I was out of practice being around other people, and it felt very uncomfortable. But now, you are my people. You are my community. I see you building community in Soul Matters groups, over a bowl of soup or a cup of coffee after the service, or while greeting each other at the beginning of a committee meeting. As a father who proudly brought up 2 daughters in a UU community, I'm inspired by the families participating here. I see the ways that this community strives for justice and to be an advocate to the vulnerable, and I want to join you. I want to shape a future that reflects our shared values. This morning, when we lit the candle of compassion and resistance, We affirmed that fear is outworked by hope and that hatred is no match for the power of love. I want to be on the side of hope and love. Today, I'll be submitting my pledge to this congregation, my community, and I'll be increasing my pledge amount by 10%. Although I feel a lot of anxiety about what's happening in our country, this congregation, all of you, are the antidote to that. My pledge is an act of hope and love. I ask that you also submit your pledge, if not today, very soon. I call you to embrace community and shape the future with hope and love. Blessed be and amen.
My mother, when love is gone, my mother, when love is gone, in our darkest hours hope lingers on. My father, when peace is gone, my father, when peace is gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on. I will not fade, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here. My sister, when equality's gone, my sister, when equality's gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My brother, when tolerance is gone, when tolerance is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not fade, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here. My love, when honor is gone, my love, when honor is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My country, when justice is gone, my country, when justice is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not fade, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here. I will not fade, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour, hope lingers here.
This congregation's mission statement says, "We come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world." One of the ways we do this is by giving away half of every Sunday's offering to a local organization. Our community partner for the month of March is Wellsprings Women's Center. This morning, we have Jessica Mugarbell here, who works with the center. Jessica, will you stand so that we can welcome you? Thank you for being with us. Wellspring's mission is to provide an environment where low-income women and their children can reduce isolation, recognize their inherent worth, and build self-esteem. Housed in the Oak Park Firehouse, Wellspring's Drop-In Center is a trusted community gathering place, offering nutritious meals to nearly 200 people every day. Volunteers and staff provide free case management, counseling, art therapy, enrichment workshops, and safety net services. Guests are diverse in age, personal background, and ethnicity. Minimal government funding helps Wellspring avoid restrictions on who it serves while enabling a quick response. Wellspring relies on generous donations from the community to provide hospitality, respect, and crucial services. And today is our last day of the drive for Wellspring. There's a table out front. If you forgot your things, you could probably drop them by the office this week. They'd get picked up. We are grateful for your generous support of UUSS and our community partner. This morning's offering will now be given and received. As our ushers come forward, please join me in saying, may generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
Welcome again, Jessica, and you will be at the Wellspring table by the front entrance after the service so people can meet you. Great, thank you. Our Soul Matters theme for the month of March has been the topic of trust. We've reflected on many kinds of trust, but one that's relevant on this day is our trust in one another here at UUSS. As a voluntary organization, nothing forces any of us to support this congregation. Yet we come together to provide that support with money as well as time. 3/4 of the revenue to operate this congregation comes from financial pledges that members and friends make every year. The budget is based on these pledges. It is built on trust that over the coming year, our donations will come in. The pledging process is an act of trust. All of us are counting on one another. I know that some of you are here today for the first time or the second time as you explore our congregation in person or online. And here you are just in time for the pledge drive. I am tempted to apologize to you and say you'll probably enjoy next Sunday's sermon a lot more. But instead, I will say that what you see today is an example of how a free congregation pursues its mission by talking openly about our goals and about the values that matter to us. Thank you for being here as we do this. On the other hand, if you have been getting used to us and you're feeling moved to make a pledge toward the coming budget year, you are more than welcome to do so. And I will say that every squeal from the new baby is actually translated as pledge. Pledge. Most people, including me, think that we participate in an organization or a community because we get something out of it. We contribute our time and money to it because we value what it does for us. While this is natural, it is worth remembering that our shared participation touches many other people, including those we may never know. 2 weekends ago, I was visiting the Midwest. And on that Sunday morning, I was the guest preacher at the Abraham Lincoln Unitarian Universalist congregation in Springfield, Illinois. Being there was a homecoming for me. I began attending that congregation 40 years ago, and I joined it later that year, 1985. I moved there for my first job in my first career in state government finance in Illinois. Springfield was a socially conservative, small city surrounded by lots of flat farmland. It still is. But back in 1985, I was 24 years old, lonely, unsure of myself, and barely out of the closet. I was idealistic about public service and naive about it. Among members of that congregation, I found middle-aged and older adults who were eager to welcome and get to know me. They seemed happy to know me for who I was and what I cared about. I remember how some of them listened as I spoke of my disillusionment at the frustrations of bureaucracy and the harsh gears of political machines. It was really good for me to get involved in that congregation and in other groups in the local community. At the church, I learned about board meetings and committee meetings, how to teach children in religious education, and I learned the practice of making a monthly financial pledge. I even led a few services. Soon I started thinking about the ministry as a career. When I confided in a few other members of the congregation about my sense of calling, they were encouraging. After several years, I followed that calling, entered seminary, and became a UU minister. So when I was standing before them 2 Sundays ago, I said, "Thank you for changing my life." To be clear, I recognize only a few of the current members, and few remembered me, as many of them have died or moved away. Yet I was giving thanks to the whole community. I said, "Thank you also for all the other lives that you have changed over the years because you were here when they needed you. And you were here when your city needed to hear your voice and your values, our Unitarian Universalist values." By their embrace of me 40 years ago, that community shaped my future without knowing it. And I didn't realize it until much later. By participating here at UUSS, you are part of an embracing community that began in 1868. In fact, yesterday was the anniversary of our founding. On March 29 of 1868, 17 families in Sacramento gathered together and named themselves the First Unitarian Church. That was 157 years ago. The book of the history of this congregation's first 120 years has many stories and glimpses and characters in it. For example, it says that in its early years, the church had an efficient choir, 2 men and 5 unmarried ladies. Who in our choir was here back then? David Paul, I think. Yeah. No, that couldn't be because he was born in Phoenix. But there's a picture I want you to see. This is a picture of Miss Gertie Garish. Our history says Miss Gertie Garish presided at the piano. Here is Gertrude. As her tombstone says, Gertrude Garish. She is buried in the Sacramento City Cemetery downtown. The story in our history doesn't say if she conducted the choir of 7 while playing the piano or if someone else conducted. Thank you for the slide. The founders of this congregation didn't know all the forms and shape this church would embody or all of its accomplishments and setbacks to come. They couldn't know how it would get through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, how it would respond to the civil rights movement and other movements for justice and fairness and liberation. They didn't know that it would build its first building in Midtown in 1915, and then build one out here in Arden Arcade in 1960, and then expand this building in 2015. Those early members couldn't predict how this congregation would minister to generations of people or how their active presence would shape the future of the local community. But they believed that the congregation was worthy of their efforts and their support. And looking out at all of you today, I would say that their faith in the future has been validated, and it is something to be celebrated. This year's pledge theme is Embracing Community, Shaping the Future. This is a challenging time to talk about shaping the future because the future looks bleak. Our present challenges in this country are horrific. The unconstitutional atrocities committed by the federal government, its betrayal of international alliances, and the cruelty inflicted on so many people. All of this feels like an awful dream from which I really want to wake up. When I do dream about this, it does wake me up with disbelief and sadness. I am aware, of course, that what feels unreal and shocking to me has been an all too familiar experience for groups of people who have been pushed to the margins for many years. Recently, the Reverend Dr. Dorsey Blake passed away. He was an African-American minister in the Bay Area and a seminary professor whom both Reverend Lucy and I count as a mentor. Another one of his former students reminded us of these words by Dr. Blake. We sit on the precipice of chaos, war, climate change, political uprisings. But what we face is neither unique nor original to our times. A minister friend pointed out to me that those of us who feel scared now can learn something from the generations of people that lived through systemic oppression, wars, and other periods of human-caused hardship. When they have endured poverty or persecution, they have sustained themselves with acts of mutual care. They embraced community for support and sustenance. They shared the strength that they needed to stay in the struggle. They did this by simple acts of providing help, sharing meals, singing songs together, and extending respect and kindness. They sustained their spirits by staying together. The road to despair, on the other hand, is paved with isolation and with separation from one another. To confront the daunting threats of these times, we must begin with community. And we act in community to shape a future where all may survive and all may flourish. One of our new members is Peter Bishop, a professor and leader in the field of studying history as a way to anticipate the future. He and his wife, Lou Bishop, have led our monthly sermon reflections, and he has led a forum here on the topic of anticipating change and working for the future we long for. Of course, change is inevitable, he points out. Change is inevitable in people, in organizations, in countries, in the world. While forecasters and visionaries use data, trend analysis, and imagination to predict changes in the world, it remains the case that nobody can guarantee any particular outcome. The future is uncertain, and that causes anxiety. So we human beings tend to jump to conclusions about the future. We may buy easy answers, become blissfully optimistic, or surrender to feelings of despair. But scholars of change and the field of future studies invite us to consider the future with a more open mind. They establish different categories of thinking about the future. And they ask the question, what if? What if it's not going to be like that? The words what if open up creativity rather than closing it off. What if we gave this a try? Whether looking at a personal situation, a family challenge, or considering the future of a community organization, we can ask what if. We can look at current conditions or trends, and we can sketch out a variety of scenarios for how things might go. To be sure, we can identify one scenario which seems the most likely to happen, and Peter calls this the expected future. Yet an expected future is still not a guaranteed one. So it will be crucial for us to think of other paths, other outcomes, other futures. Some scenarios could seem even worse. Some could be even more promising. And from among the possible futures that we outline, we can choose, we can describe our preferred future. A preferred future would be one which embodies our values and reflects our hopes. It is one that we are committed to working toward. In Unitarian Universalism, we call this building the world we dream about. We direct our efforts toward giving that world a chance. As an example, Peter told me that every song that we sing in this congregation is about that preferred future. Our hymns envision a better world. They celebrate human achievements. They praise the gifts of nature. And they give thanks for the blessings of our lives. In song, we literally give a voice to our hopes. Directing our efforts toward our preferred future may be a daunting task. Sure it is. So it has always been. The practice of peace, the promise of pluralism, respect for human dignity, the achievement of justice and equity. All of these aims are hard to pursue, yet we know that giving up on them would wound our very souls. Doing this as a solitary project, however, is unlikely to succeed. It is likely to leave you frustrated and worn out. The best chance we have to shape the future is through embracing community. The 20th century Unitarian minister and seminary professor and social activist James Luther Adams said that when people who are longing for a world of safety and flourishing for everyone can come together, they can summon the strength, as he puts it, to make history rather than just be pushed around by it. To make history rather than just be pushed around by it. Here at UUSS, our board and stewardship committee have two key goals for this year's pledge drive and for the budget it will fund. One goal is to improve the wages and salaries of our staff and ministers. We have 9 staff members here, full and part-time. We want to compensate them fairly and keep them. This is why we ask you to increase your pledge this year or to make a generous pledge if it's your first one. And the other goal is to welcome a seminarian as a ministerial intern here at UUSS. And I have a bit of news to tell you, but it's only for you who are here today, whether you're here in person or you're with us on Zoom, and I suppose those who are watching this on YouTube in the future. But that's all. So Reverend Lucy and I have been approached by a talented and energetic young seminarian about coming here to start an internship this coming fall. This intern is highly recommended by their home church minister and is eager to be here. This student's UU seminary requires a half-time internship, which means they would be serving with us for 2 church years, not just one, and the payment of the stipend would be stretched out over 2 budget years. If you've been here for more than a year, you might remember that an intern brings new ideas and new energy to us. And then after their time with us, they go forward in order to enrich our larger movement through their ministry. UUSS is known as an excellent internship congregation, and this is a big way that we are shaping the future. But to be sure, the future is not guaranteed. That's why we put our values, time, resources, and power into shaping the future that will embody our values and our longings. If you make a pledge, it's your decision, it's your choice. Every pledge is valued and appreciated. Every gift makes a difference. We invite you to make a pledge that reflects your capacity to give, your ability to give. And we hope your pledge will remind you that you are a part of what we embody what we care about, what we aspire to. We hope you will remember that. Thank you for your intentions and for your care. And you know, we have two primary purposes for holding a pledge drive every year. One purpose is practical, the other is more spiritual. We invite everybody to make a financial commitment in order to establish a budget that will be accurate so that we can pay our bills, compensate our staff, support our denomination, and maintain our buildings and grounds. The spiritual purpose of the pledge drive, on the other hand, is to remember that all of us are counting on one another. We want to remember this truth and celebrate it. Everybody has a role to play in shaping the future. By coming together, we make a difference in the lives of people we know, those we have yet to meet, and those people we may never know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for embracing community. So may it be, blessed be, and amen.
Please join in singing What Really Matters. What really matters to your heart? What really matters to your heart? For the things of the world define you not. What really matters to your heart? What really matters in your soul? What really matters in your soul? For the things of the world define you not. What really matters in your soul? How do you treat the ones you love? How do you treat the ones you love? For that's what matters at the end of the day. How do you treat the ones you love? How do you treat your precious heart? How do you treat your precious heart? For that's what matters at the end of the day. How do you treat your precious heart? How do you give of what you have? How do you
please join me in speaking together these words as we extinguish our chalice. These words. We extinguish this flame, but we carry the light, love, and commitment of this gathering into the days to come.
Before we go out for cookies and pledging, people on Zoom, I'm sorry about the cookies, but there will be some leftovers if you stop by this week. I invite you to reach out. Reach out to us as we reach out to you. If you're at home, reach out to us and we reach back. May you depart in peace and be led forth in joy. For all who see God, may God go with you. For those who embrace life, may life return your affection. And for those who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step, one day at a time. Blessed be.